So in this particular session, as I mentioned, that we are going to practice, first of all, we will add the light pink tone, that is a combination of red and white in all the hands, right? And some portion of the ears, the tilak, and both the feet, the lower portion of both the feet, right? And we're going to use the dotting tools. So you might have these kind of dotting tools. If you do not have it, fine. You may use some optional tools, like the back side of your brush will help you, creating a big dot. If you have a pencil, the tip of the pencil will give you a slightly smaller dot. Okay. This way you will have multiple tools around you which can be used to create the dot. Either you can use this kind of a cotton bud for creating a big dot. The back side of the pencil can be used to create a big dot. A toothpick can be used to create a very tiny dot, right? But I'm sure you might be having these tools. So that is the task for today. And as I mentioned, that there's a huge number of dots to be added and multiple varieties of dots, so small and big. And there are some other droplets sort of a shape which can be created using a dot. So that I will teach you in today's session. Okay. So first of all, our task is to add this pink tone in mostly wherever it is pending. So let's complete that and then we will start practicing the dots on rough paper. Yes. So first of all, we are taking red color and white color in our palette. We're going to mix it to form a mid-tone of these two colors, which will be more of a pink tone. So take white and a bit of red to form a light pink tone. You can dilute it a little bit. If you wish to use wet on dry technique, then you can use a cotton bud, and in the same manner which we did this burnt sienna color using wet on dry technique, the same method can be useful here. Dip your cotton bud once in water, let it absorb a good amount of water. Just tap multiple times on this color that you made, right? Remove the excess of color in a piece of cloth or maybe on a paper. Use this cotton bud and create these stones. Initially, it's a diluted form of the color. Later, we will use a concentrated color, use the brush and make it a little more dense area and a little more bright layer. So we start with a lighter than the middle tone. Initially, there's a good amount of white along with red. So more of white, less of red as of now. After that, you can add a little more of red to the mid-tone. Use a brush. And just a few strokes like we did using the orange color on top of yellow. In the same manner, you can follow this shape. This is slightly darker than the middle tone, and we will be adding some strokes like this. If you wish to blend it, you can use either a deer foot stippling brush or another flat brush, a small size flat brush. Once you apply the color using one brush, you can use another dry brush and blend the color like this. Because while you have applied the color, it will take say 5-7 minutes to dry. And in that time, you can blend it using another brush. So this is nothing but wet on dry technique. Okay, in the same manner. Now, if you still want to increase the tone, right now there are two tones, right? First was the lighter middle tone and then middle tone. Now, if you still want to make it a little towards red, then add more red to the mid tone. Use the same technique. You can use a brush and just add a few lines like this. So then there will be 3 tones in your shape. Okay, it'll look more finished. Now in the same manner, you have to color all the hands. start with the mid tone, or I can say lighter middle tone. Initially, you can use cotton bud. Spread the color mostly all over the shape. Even the upper portion of the snake can be colored with this. If you wish to go for the orange or burnt sienna color, if pink is too bright for you, for the snake, you may change the color to either orange or burnt sienna. The process remains the same, only the color will change. Start with lighter middle tone, then slowly add red. Later, you may use orange or burnt sienna color. Using a brush, you may add some strokes. I'm taking burnt using a round brush, and I'm just adding a few strokes like this. It can be more of a cross hatching strokes like this. Okay. Use a fine brush for doing these strokes, otherwise you will get thick lines. A fine liner brush is appropriate for this process. Avoid hiding the yellow color which is coming at the back, right? Yes, we definitely want some strokes, but at the same time, we don't want to hide this yellow color. Now I'm taking a slightly darker than the middle tone of this pink color. If you do not want to highlight both the hands or maybe all the hands with this pink, you may skip it. Nothing wrong in keeping the same skin tone. But if you're doing it, then do it in all the hands. I'm adding more of red now with the middle tone and adding a few strokes on all the fingers. Just one line of this darkest color, or I would say more of red we've added, so darker than the middle tone. If the color is too bright and if it is too heavy on that particular object, just use a cotton bud and try to spread it like this. This is known as wet on dry technique. Because the base is already dried and we are working with a little wet color. If the outlines are hidden and if you feel that it is overlapped with the acrylic color, you may retrace them, right? I'm leaving it on you. If you feel that you need to retrace the outline one more time, then it is fine. You can do that. Otherwise, you may skip. So this way, all the hands are supposed to be colored with this pink, and both the feet just the lower section of the feet. Start with lighter than the middle tone, then shift to middle tone, and then darker than the middle tone. Okay. You may use your finger for spreading the color if you wish to cover more area. You may use your finger or the cotton bud, whichever is convenient, like this. Then slowly add red to the middle tone. And just add one line or one stroke. To create this tonal difference. If you still wish to increase the tones, then last color can be only red, right? You can take only red color and just add a very thin line of purely red color. If you're looking for more of the tones, then you can do this. Right, so this transition should be visible from red to yellow or very light tone of pink should be visible. It shouldn't be like directly red and then yellow, then it won't look good. So this transition is required. You may use orange color and add a few strokes in the dhoti of Bhagwan, the poshak of Bhagwan. Like I'm using the orange color and just a few strokes on this red. Multiple tones will complement that shape. Rather than adding one color, you may just try to add multiple tones or multiple colors in one section. But make sure that the color is complementing the base, otherwise it will look very different than what you want. Okay. Right, so mostly the pink section is completed now. Only in the upper portion, which is the tilak and the ears, can be done with this pink. You may use a fine liner brush for the same. See, this is a natural hair brush which is used to do the miniature paintings. Observe the tip of the brush. It is very useful for creating very fine lines, right? So let me just show you a small demo. It's even better than a fine liner brush. Observe the strokes. In the ears, you may give this fine strokes using a fine liner brush. If you do not want to use a brush and the acrylic color, the same thing can be done with multiple colored ball pens, right? That can be done in the next session. Then you may skip this if you wish to use the ball pens. Start with lighter middle tone, which is a combination of white and red, more of white, less of red, and add a few strokes. With this color, you can cover more area like this.
Sir, a quick question.
Yes.
So when you're saying doing it with ball pen, if you're doing it
Hmm.
on the canvas roll, then
Hmm.
will it work like as the paint itself? I mean, because
Yeah.
we have to put more
Hmm.
pressure on the canvas roll, right? Unlike paper.
No. You can work as very easily. I mean, it is very similar to paper. It's just that you're using the right ball pen. It will give you very similar results. I'll show you in the other ear.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So first you have to start with lighter middle tone, and then I'm taking more of red like we did in the hands. I'm taking more of red, and this time the size of the stroke or the length of the stroke will be slightly smaller. We're dealing here with visual texture created with some strokes. So there should be the transition in the color at the same time. We want to show all the tones, right? So the size of the stroke will reduce in the next tone. So first tone is still here. Now the second tone that we are adding with more of red is only here, right? So there is a transition from dark tone to the light tone. Now the last color can be taken, which is more of only red color, and just add a few strokes of red, and that'll be it. So I'm taking only red color in my brush and just a few strokes near the outline of the ear here. So the transition from red to pink is visible. Okay. Make sure that the strokes are properly given. Otherwise, you will end up filling up the whole space with one color, which we don't want. Yes. So I'm going to show you the ball pen, how it works and what kind of output. Yes. See, this is a multiple colored ball pen which I told you to purchase because there are all the colors available, right?
Yes,
Individual
sir.
ball pens are also available. So these kind of individual ball pens you can purchase red, blue, black, right? So all of these are ball pens. I'm going to use this one. And as we are looking for little reddish stroke, so I'm going to use directly red color. And I'm going to give the strokes like this. I'm not applying more of the pressure on the ball pen. Rather than that, I'm moving my ball pen multiple times in that section like this. And it works very similar like we work on paper. Definitely the textures are going to be a little difficult. The texture on the surface is going to be a bit difficult job, but it is very similar, not very.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's possible. See, like this. The
Yes.
stroke should start from the line, from the outline, and it should be left in the middle of the shape like this. But there is a
Okay.
limitation here that if you're using red color and if you have a pink color in your ball pen, then you can create the tones. Otherwise, you mostly have to, you know, create dark tone by applying more of the strokes, and you can create light tone by placing the strokes away from each other. Okay, so that's a visual texture like this. Right, so just observe the results. It's mostly similar, just the color is different, but the result is mostly similar. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you.
I have a question. Doesn't this will it bleed when we varnish it? The ballpoint ink?
See, different brands are working very differently. So if you use a liquid varnish on top of this ball pen, yes, it will start to blend along with the varnish. But if you use a spray varnish,
Yeah,
in
spray will stay. Yeah.
yeah, in certain brands it works, and certain brands it doesn't work.
These are the
So
gel pens that you're referring to, right? When the
no,
ball pen. No. Okay.
ball pens only. Ball
Ball
pens
pens.
only because gel pens are not permanent.
Correct.
If you put your hand on top of the, those lines, it will start to, blend.
Okay,
So
so no gel pens to be used. Okay.
yeah, only ball pens.
Okay. Okay.
And see, this is what happened. I'll show you. See, over here we have used the ball pen. Even here I have used black ball pen. Black color is not getting faded while you apply the varnish. But when
Mhm.
you add red color or say orange color, it is becoming a little towards neon. Although it's not blending, but it is
Okay.
changing its color. So that is the only thing I observed while we added the varnish, spray varnish.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So that,
Thanks.
yeah. Fine. So now I leave it on you that whichever medium you are comfortable with, you may use. It can be a black or a blue or any other colored ball pen. You may use a fine liner brush in acrylic color, right? It is totally up to you. Now the last part with this pink is going to be in the tilak. So I'm taking red and white, forming this light pink tone. You can dilute it a little. थोड़ा सा पानी आप ऐड कर सकते हैं. And around this tilak, you may give this pink color. If you wish to highlight this area with red, that is also fine. You can go with red color. Same method is supposed to be useful. You may overlap the black lines if you're taking a diluted color. This is already discussed before that if the color is having a lot of water, is diluted, then the black lines will again pop up on the surface. Now in this shape, in this motif, you may add a little pink. Start with light tone and then you may increase the amount of red. So this way, these things will be, these motifs will be highlighted, okay, and it will look good from distance. So that was all about this pink color, which is supposed to be added in all the hands, right? I showed you two, the snake, the upper portion of the snake, these two motifs, the tilak and the shape, and both the ears and both the feet, okay? After that, we are going to practice the dots. So I'm going to use this paper, a dark paper, because I'm planning to use light color. So take out your palette and take white color directly from the bottle. No need to add any amount of water to this medium. You can directly use it to create the dots. This is the first practice and it is very much required before you start working on the canvas. First of all, check out that which tool is giving you which size of the dot, right? So I'm using this tool. I'm just putting my tool on top of the color, taking a good amount of color. You have to hold the tool exactly perpendicular to the surface. So you have to hold the tool exactly perpendicular to the surface. Okay, hold it perpendicular to the surface and then just touch the surface and just take out your tool. You will get a beautiful dot. Right, again, follow the same routine. Take the color in your tool, hold it perpendicular to the surface and place it like this and you will get a beautiful dot. Make sure that the dot is going to be spreaded while you place it. It's going to increase its size to, mms, and you have to keep that tolerance. The space should be there so that two dots are not merged with each other. If you're looking for a specific size of the dot, then you have to take the color every single time and then place the dot. If you wish to reduce the size of the dot, then it can be more like this, like take the color once and print it multiple times using another tool for different size. This is another tool. So let's check out the size. Yeah, this tool is good. I'm able to print more than 7-8 times and multiple sizes are also possible. So you can start with this way. I mean, big dots can be created and then another tool can be used to create the small dots around the big dots. That is also possible. It's very, very important that you keep an eye on the tool while you're printing and maintain the size of the dot. Keep a little space between two dots. Yes, I'll show it again. Take the color in your tool, print it like this. 3 to 4 dots you can print. And use a sharp tool, or maybe it can be more like a pencil. Okay, you can use a pencil for dragging the stroke. Like you can drag it like this. Okay, this way you can change the shape of the dot. So this is a small practice, good amount of work. So this kind of a small practice is required first before you start working on the canvas. Any questions about dotting? Please let me know if there are
What
any
is
questions.
the transparency of the colors, sir? Because sometimes what happens
Hmm.
between
Hmm.
bottle colors and tube colors,
Hmm.
the
It should be.
after it dries, it becomes a little transparent, these dots.
Yes, that's correct. So, see, the amount of pigment should be more while you're, doing this dot. So it should be more of a thick in consistency. So it should be more like oil or honey kind of consistency if you're using the tubes. If you're using Fevicryl bottles, I would suggest do not add any amount of water. Just directly take the color from the bottle and start printing. That is a very good consistency. If you're
Okay.
using the tubes, then try to make oil or honey kind of consistency, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Any other doubts? Dotting is going to be a very important layer in your painting because when you're adding these white dots, it's going to create a very beautiful pattern, right? And from distance, you will be able to see these white dots. So make sure that you're giving these dots very carefully. Try not to overlap a lot on the base colors. Definitely, we wish to give the dots, so anyways, we will have to overlap it, but keep the base color also visible. Mostly when I'm using the dotting tool to create the dots, I prefer to go in a specific direction. For example, in these ornaments, I'm going to place the dots on, this shape. So it's going to be highlighted. If you're looking for same size of the dot, then you can print twice. Take the color once and print it twice. If you're looking for a small size of the dot, then take the color once and print it 3 to 4 times, and you will get small size of the dot. Yes, please let me know if there are any questions, any doubts. Now in dotting, I will give you the liberty to select the color as per your wish instead of white. If you have to, if you want to highlight with red, then you can use red color. You may change the color according to your wish. It's totally up to you. I'm using white because I want to highlight these spaces from distance, right? So if we put white, it will be visible from distance as this is a big painting. Now, one very important thing about dotting that while you are, putting the dots, as we know that acrylic colors will dry quickly. Okay, so there are chances that the color that you've taken in your palette, there will be a layer forming on the surface, right? And you might have to change the color after say 25-30 minutes, right? The same thing happens on the dotting tool. For example, I was using this tool earlier to create the dots, right? And the surface is having, I mean, the tip of the tool is having a lot of color and it is dried. Okay. So you have to clean it after say 15 to 20 minutes. You have to clean it. Otherwise, you will end up creating a very uneven shape rather than a circular dot, right? So be very careful and keep cleaning your tool after say 10-15 minutes. It is advisable to use one tool and create all the big dots first, then shift to the another size. Right. There are a lot of dots in the mukut. So I'm going to use this technique where I'm planning to add multiple sizes of dots. So I'll start from here. So big dot in the center, then slowly start towards the right. Take the color once and print it multiple times to get small size like this. Okay. I hope this is visible. Let me just change the angle. This is better. So all the liberties are given to change the direction of the dots, to change the size of the dots, to change the color of the dots. It's totally up to you. As long as it is looking good, it depends on you that what kind of dots you wish to add. Be very, very careful that you're not placing your hand on the wet dots that you've given earlier. Otherwise, it will be a hazardous job to clean it. A series of dots will look very good around the motif like this. If you're using a tool like this, then it's not necessary that you are holding it exactly perpendicular, because the tip is quite more like a sphere. So you can hold it at a different angle, like you hold a pencil. But if you're using a dotting tool which is cylindrical at the end, then you must hold it perpendicular. Dotting should be added once you are done with, all the tonal differences. I mean, if you have added orange, if you've added burnt sienna, वो सब आप पहले complete करके उसके बाद dotting आपको शुरू करना है. Okay. For the reference, you may use the image that I've shared, that which is the orientation, how and which color is used to create the dots. And then you can follow accordingly. Yes, please let me know if there are any questions about this. Variation in sizes will look very good. If you are a righty, then always start from the left upper corner and shift to the right lower corner. This way, it will be easy for you to place your hand. If you start from the lower left corner, then it'll be difficult to go on top, because once you place your hand, the dots are still not dried and it'll be difficult for you to handle. I'm going to show you another color also. This white dots mostly done. Practice multiple times on a rough paper to understand what should be the angle at which you should be holding the tool. What is the size of the dot you're getting with, which particular tool. So that familiarization is required on a rough paper. According to the size of the shape, you have to change the tool. For example, for this particular shape, although this is a very similar shape, but the size is slightly different. Okay, so if I use the same tool for both the shapes, then I might struggle, because here I can set, 5 to 6 dots. Here I'm only able to set 5 dots. And if the same size of the tool is used for even the smaller size, then you might, end up overlapping the dots, and even it will not look uniform. So don't hesitate to change the tool according to the size of the shape. Now the next color I'm going to take is red, and let's give some red dots. Taking red color in my palette directly from the bottle. Now near the eyes, I'm going to place some different sizes of red color using this dotting tool. Starting from here, in the same manner, you can follow the same thing on the other side. Try to balance it out. If the size of the dot is different, try to balance it out. Even the same color, red color, can be used to create some dots in the mukut. Make sure that the dots are not overlapping with each other, otherwise it will not look good. So leave a good distance between two dots. Remember that a small dot can be converted into a big dot, but reverse is difficult, mostly impossible, right? So always start with a small dot, apply less pressure, and create a small dot. If required, you may add the color again, and you can increase the size of it. But reducing the size is not possible. Take the color once, print it multiple times. Follow the outline of that shape. Yes. So that is it about today's class. You can place some random dots in the poshak of Bhagwan. So let me just add this white color. I'm taking white color and printing some dots here. And later I'm going to drag it to change its shape. Yes, now use a thinner tool, very sharp tool, and drag the dots which are still wet to form this droplet shape. I'm repeating this again on the other side. Just add a few dots with big tool. Use a smaller tool. Drag the dots which you have just given. Okay, and form the shape. You can add some random orange colored dots over here, some randomly placed dots. You may take burnt sienna for this section. White color can be used to create the dots here, okay, around the green colored cloth. You can create some motifs using the dots as well. I'll show you how. For example, over here in the tummy, I'm going to use red color and give one big dot in the middle, like this. Now, using a small dotting tool, which will help me create a small dot using the same color, I'm going to add 2 dots vertically, or you can take 3 dots, 2 dots both the sides, like this. In the same manner, you can take 2 dots horizontally. Okay, this will help you create these kind of small motifs, which will look very beautiful. Size variation is a must, so you can also place some similar shapes, some similar motifs, smaller in size. Okay. Yes, so that is it from my end. I'll show you the painting once the dots are completed, how it will look. Yeah, it will look somewhat like this. Right, with all the dots. We won't be adding it right now, these shapes which are there in the background, that we won't do just now. Your task is to complete the dots overall wherever it is possible, wherever you wish. Right, multiple size variations are also possible, multiple shapes are also possible. Okay, so it's totally up to you which color to be added where, what is the size of the dot, what is the orientation of the dot. It is totally up to you. Okay, just remember that a very good and a thick layer of dots are added, a huge number of dots are added just to beautify your work. I have mostly worked with white color because white is very much highlighted from distance. Hence, I used white. And there are already, we have taken a lot of bright colors in the background, right? So white will neutralize it. At the same time, it will look highlighted. So that is it from my end. The class ends here. Please let me know if there are any questions regarding the same. We will meet in the next weekend, that is Saturday, and we will work with this golden color. See, you can have a look that this is a golden color added in the shastras. Okay, you can also work on the mukut for this gold. Right. So that we will do in the next session. And the last session, I'll teach you how to varnish your painting and how to add a filter in your painting if anybody would like to do it. And a kit pass layer is also pending. So in the next session, I'll teach you how to add the kit pass crayons. Fine. So that is it from my end. If there are any questions, please go for it.
Hi, Karan. I have a question. For the
Yes.
varnish, I have this gloss one from
Hmm.
Liquid Body and one from the Brustro. So
Hmm.
instead of using the spray one, will this work?
Liquid varnish would be difficult to use. The reason is because we have used multiple mediums like permanent marker and ball pens are used. So if you create friction on the surface, there are chances that these colors that you've added, it will start to blend. For example, for the outlining, if you use the permanent marker, it will react with the liquid varnish. And while we are applying the varnish, you must be using a brush, a flat brush, or maybe a sponge piece,
Yes.
right? So it will start to blend with the varnish. Hence, we are planning to add a spray varnish layer first. Then, if it is required, you may add a liquid varnish layer also.
Okay, because
But
I have not used any of the ballpoints or the markers,
Yeah.
only the acrylic and brush. So in that case, will
Then you can use. Yeah. If it is only acrylic colors used to create the painting, then you can use liquid varnish. There's no harm in applying the layer of liquid varnish.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Any other questions? Any other doubts? Okay, I think that is it for today's class. I'll see you in the next weekend. Once your work is completed, please send me an image in the group so that I can have a look and write my feedback. And I'll see you in the next session. Yeah.